Well, welcome everyone. My name is Dr. Koshi Dhingra, and I'm the founder and CEO of the talkSTEM nonprofit organization. And with me today, I'm delighted to introduce Dorsey Standish, the Chief Mindfulness Officer of Mastermind, a Dallas-based mindfulness and emotional intelligence consulting team. Dorsey has a fascinating background. She and I have known each other for a couple of years now, and it's the first time we've got to do this together, so I'm super excited. She's a mechanical engineer, a neuroscientist, and wellness expert who brings evidence-based mindfulness meditation to clients nationwide. Dorsey has shared science-based mindfulness solutions with hundreds of companies, including Staples, Deloitte, United Way, Peloton, and Pier 1. Her teachings draw on her training as a teacher of mindfulness-based stress reduction through Brown University and her deep experience on regular 7-day silent meditation retreats. You can learn more and meditate with Dorsey at mastermindmeditate.com.
Thanks so much, Koshi, and hi, everybody. It's lovely to see your names in the participant list and see some of your faces. I so appreciate you being here today. My little sister is a second grade teacher in Maryland, and she is completely crazed right now trying to get ready. I think this is her second day of school, virtual learning. So I can't imagine what all you guys have going on right now, and really appreciate you making the time to be here to learn more about talkSTEM and mindfulness. So I'm going to share a little bit about my own journey and connect STEM to mindfulness. And then we're going to talk about mindfulness and creativity and how being more creative, more mindful can help you with those first two steps of talkSTEM, the noticing and the questioning. And then we're going to have a mindfulness meditation experience together. And then at the end of our time, we'll do a couple example brainstorm activities around creating talkSTEM. Virtual engagement activities for you and the kids that you work with. So Koshi mentioned my background in mechanical engineering. This slide shows a picture of me working at Texas Instruments. I was a design engineer and program manager for this project about spectroscopy. I went to several trade shows, and just to show you that even though, you might look at me now as a mindfulness teacher and think about mindfulness as I did before I got into it as being kind of a woo-woo who has time to meditate, what are the really benefits behind that practice? Because I was a type A skeptic for a long, long time. And it was the stress of going to college for engineering and then working in the corporate world that made me use my nature as a scientist to start questioning how I could train my brain for more stress resilience. I was facing burnout at TI and turned to a daily meditation practice to help me cope. And it's interesting, I've always felt so empowered by the teachers I've had in my life to be a woman in STEM, a woman in engineering, as early as second and third grade projects, all the way up until senior year in high school. I had so much encouragement to love physics, to love math. And I thank you guys for all that you do with kids, and just know that you have such an impact on the kids that you touch. And I'm so grateful to my teachers and the supporters on my path that encouraged me to go into engineering, which can be a daunting field. And so a lot of people ask me, including my mom now, do you miss engineering? And I tell them that I actually am still an engineer at heart, right? Those skills that I've learned to notice, to question, to design an experience for people, I still do that. Now it's a mindfulness class instead of a spectrometer, but I'm still constantly noticing, questioning, and curating and designing experiences for people. And I think that a STEM background supports everyone. Even if you're not a math person or a science person, encouraging students to be open to this general idea of the talkSTEM framework, right? The noticing, the questioning, empowering them to use those tools in their daily life, as I did, and I still do, even as a mindfulness and meditation facilitator. So I left Texas Instruments about 5 years ago. I've been working and teaching mindfulness meditation, running a company here in Dallas called Mastermind, where we bring science-based mindfulness to, actually we're working with Dallas ISD this semester, doing a weekly mindfulness class for teachers. So if you're part of DISD, I'd love to have you in our Wednesday night classes. I can share more information about that afterwards. We also work with corporations, as Koshi mentioned, now all across the country with everything being virtual. And I'm staying true to these roots of science-based mindfulness. How can we bring STEM into the practice of mindfulness and meditation and ground these principles in language that everyone can understand, you know, wanting to be healthier, to be well, to be more creative and more productive. So we're going to talk today about mindfulness supporting creativity and this noticing and questioning aspect of the talkSTEM framework. So Koshi, if you could, are you able to hit the next button? Thank you. Wonderful. So what is creativity? Creativity is an integral part of the talkSTEM process. And as Koshi mentioned, it can sometimes be the most difficult, right? Because creativity requires that we're aware of what's around us and we get inspired. We take these inputs and we curate things for ourselves and for others. So in general, you know, as you can read on the slide, right? Creativity is our ability to generate things that are new, that are original in some way. And creative ideas also need to be appropriate to the context in question, right? So it's not something, you know, coming up with an idea that's not a talkSTEM. We would want to come up with ideas that are appropriate to the context in question. So focused enough on the topic and new or novel in some way, which is what we'll be exploring together with the talkSTEM framework. Koshi, can you go to the next slide? Thank you. So this idea of being creative, of generating novel ideas that are suited to the context in question, how is that like being mindful? So creativity is, you know, Koshi mentioned this, when you look at the talkSTEM framework, right? This idea of noticing and questioning and inquiring, and it's so easy for us to be judgmental. As human beings, we're wired to make instantaneous judgments. I like that, I don't like that, that's not a good idea. And that's not really serving the talkSTEM process, and it doesn't serve creativity. Actually, studies have found that to facilitate a creative environment, we need to be as non-judgmental and accepting as possible of all ideas, no matter how crazy they are. So with creativity, we want to let go of judgment and be receptive to all sorts of inspiration. Now, this is really similar to a mindfulness practice where we're paying attention to what's happening. So we're taking in all sorts of inputs from our senses, feeling our body, feeling our breath, aware of our mind state. And we're doing all of this paying attention in this present moment, right? Koshi mentioned for this framework of talkSTEM, the noticing, right? We have to be in the present moment in that environment to be able to notice and be creative. Then we have this idea of mindfulness where we let go of judgment. We practice non-judgment and lead with curiosity rather than judgmental thoughts. So being curious instead of judgmental is a key part of creativity, a key part of mindfulness. So hopefully you can see how this overlaps, how as we're more creative and as we're better at noticing and questioning, that actually mindfulness really supports those skill sets as well. We go to the next slide. So it's not just me saying, you know, there's some similarities between mindfulness and creativity. Actually, there's been several research studies done on the impact of mindfulness for creativity. And there are a couple different styles of meditation, right? We talk about mindfulness, it's paying attention to the present moment. We could focus on our breath, focus on our body. The type of mindfulness practice that's actually been shown to boost creativity is what's called an open awareness or open monitoring practice, where you're not just focusing on one aspect of the present moment, but you're actually open to it all. So maybe this is like the talkSTEM activity where you're looking at a bollard and you're saying, what is this? I'm noticing the light hitting it. I'm noticing the shape. I'm touching it. I'm using my senses, right? That's the type of mindfulness meditation practice, that open awareness that's been shown to boost creativity. So in this particular study from 2014, they tested this hypothesis that a focused awareness practice would make people less creative than this open awareness practice. And sure enough, they found that people who had done this open monitoring meditation that we'll do together in a moment were able to be more creative and come up with more alternate uses for an object, which was their measure of creativity.